Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Statewide Traffic Management Center. I'm joined by the woman to my right, who probably also does not need an introduction, the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti. To my left, another guy in that category, the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan, the Board of Public Utilities President, two to my right, Joe Fiordaliso, and the Director of the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, two to my left, Jared Maples. This is the rare day in which we are briefing in the middle of a weather event as opposed to before. Additionally, we will not be holding a regular COVID briefing this afternoon, so I will address some of the latest numbers at the end of my remarks. Let me say this unequivocally, this is a big one. And it's going to be with us at this point, we think, until tomorrow night. So first things first, the state of emergency that I declared as of last evening remains in effect. We urge everyone who does not need to be out on the roads to stay in. Let me be as forceful on that point as I possibly can. If you don't need to be out, go back to your house immediately. If you're in your house, don't leave your house. You're jeopardizing either one or both of the following: yourself, or secondly, the crews that Diane has out on the road trying to clear the roads, or Pat's folks who are out on the road trying to aid motorists who need to be on the road. So if you must be out, please, God, be careful. But if you don't need to be out, do not go out. And if you're out right now and you don't need to be out, safely find your way home, lock the door, sit on the couch, and stay home until further notice. This is a huge storm. Diane has over 3,900 pieces of equipment on the roads up and down the state. We are now about to enter the teeth, the worst of the storm. It's going to be really bad for the next 12 hours. Including winds, Andrew, that gust up to 50 miles an hour. Please, please, please stay home. We have already been contacted both last night and this morning by the White House and the Federal Department of Homeland Security, who checked in regarding our preparedness for this storm. I'm sure they will be good partners with us as we clean up and recover and pay for this storm. Each of our vaccine mega sites is closed today due to the weather. However, the Bergen County, Burlington County, and Gloucester County sites were already pre-scheduled to be closed today. Anyone with an appointment at the mega sites in Atlantic County, Middlesex County, or Morris County has received a call, an email, or a text from the healthcare partner at that site to be rescheduled. Folks in Morris County explicitly have been rescheduled to Wednesday, with those in Atlantic County and Middlesex County having been rescheduled until Thursday. Our vaccination call center, however, will remain open throughout the winter storm. And that number again is 855-568-0545. 855-568-0545. So as I alluded to, back to the storm, according to the latest forecast, we expect the snow to pick back up throughout the day today, really beginning now and tonight, before this system pushes away from us. We thought originally tomorrow morning. It looks increasingly like tomorrow night. This is still a big system, and I want to repeat this as clearly as I can. The worst is yet to come. We expect new significant snowfall across central and North Jersey, with up to 2 feet of additional accumulations possible in some parts of North Jersey before all is said and done. In South Jersey, the snow totals will be lower. And if you're watching right now and you look out your window and it's raining, we understand that, but our concern remains around the mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain, as well as coastal flooding and winds. And having looked at the radar projections, where it's raining now, it is going to turn in almost all likelihood to snow. So again, I cannot say this enough. Unless you must be out, do not go out. Stay home, stay in. Additionally, the commercial vehicle travel restriction along our interstate highways that was put in place yesterday, which includes, Diane, tractor trailers, empty straight CDL-weighted trucks, any passenger vehicles, towing trailers, motorcycles, recreational vehicles, boats, as we usually want to highlight, that order remains in place. And a reminder that this restriction does not apply to the Turnpike, Parkway, or Atlantic City Expressway. There's two types of vehicles that are commercial on the road right now, as Pat reminded me a few minutes ago. The ones that are carrying vital things like food, vaccines. We need folks who don't need to be out there to clear a way and allow those folks to do the job they need to do. The other type of commercial vehicle that's on the road is breaking the law. And I know Pat and team will be very forceful on making sure folks not only hear that, but pay a price for it. The DOT has pre-positioned, long before this thing started, towing equipment in the usual trouble spots along I-280 in Essex County and I-78 through the western part of the state. And as I mentioned earlier, Diane, you've got over 3,900 pieces of equipment on the roads as we speak. And one of your colleagues reminded me, unfortunately, there's a little bit of leeway right now because you've got some rain in the south, but it's a complete all-state storm, which means in some other storms that we have, you can bear down, double down on your equipment in a certain part of the state because you've got a leeway and a little bit of breathing room in another part of the state. That is not the case with this storm. So they are as stretched as they have been, at least since I've been here. We are incredibly grateful for the efforts of the state, county, and local road crews and the crews from both the Turnpike Authority and the South Jersey Transportation Authority for all their work preparing for this storm and for being out there overnight and again today. Diane will give us a better picture of the situation on our roads and the work completed by the DOT's crews. Also, as she always does, but in particular in this case, is coordinating, we all are, closely with our neighboring states, and that cooperation, as always, is going well. For current road conditions, your fastest resources will be to find the NJ.DOT on Facebook, on Twitter, at New Jersey DOT, and at 511nj.org. Again, unless there is a reason, I cannot be more forceful about this, to be on the roads, do not be on the roads. Please let the crews do their jobs undeterred and undistracted. You won't jeopardize their work and you won't jeopardize your own safety. All NJ Transit rail and bus service, with the exception of the Atlantic City rail line, is currently suspended. I encourage you to visit NJ.com or on Facebook and Twitter at NJ Transit for updates on service restoration. Pat, as of 10 a.m., New Jersey state troopers had attended to 340 accidents and responded to 295 motorist aid calls along the roads under their patrol. I think you mentioned, Diane, the DOT had responded to another 224 motorist aids calls. I'm certain there were many other similar calls to local and county police, and we thank all of our first responders and DOT crews who spent the storm on the job. As anticipated, not surprisingly, and Joe will give you a little bit more color, there are some reported blackouts across the state, as should be expected given the snow and the wind. The number of customers currently without power, we think, is only at around 1,500, and most of them are in Toms River in the JCP&L district, and I know Jim Fakult and his team are focused on that. With the high winds that we are expecting beginning this afternoon, beginning right around now, and with the snow continuing to accumulate a couple or 3 inches an hour, the number of outages, Joe, I am sure will go up meaningfully. Please, folks, if you are out, don't assume somebody else called it in, and if you see a down power line, do not go near it. Call that one in as well. I connected with each of our state's big power service producers yesterday and to some extent this morning, and I know Joe and his team at the BPU have spent considerable time checking in with them as well, and he'll be able to give you up the latest. If you or anyone you know is in need of a warm place to stay because of a loss of power or heat, we have warming centers available across the state, and you should call 211 or visit nj211.org to find a warming center near you. And we thank the men and women who are out there working to restore power in these really challenging conditions. I always say to these power companies, soon but safe. And that's particularly when you got winds like we've got today. If you're heading out today, please, I prefer you didn't. In fact, we're demanding that you don't, to get a head start on digging out or to help your neighbors, or when you do tomorrow or the next day. Please, please, please remember, folks, to stay safe. And we have to remember we are still in the midst of a pandemic. The one real benefit of a face covering today and tomorrow will also keep your face warm. But remember, COVID will not take a snow day, so neither should our vigilance. And to spur you to remain vigilant, keep in mind that today we have another 3,656 cases to report, along with the heaviest hearts to announce 34 newly confirmed losses of life. But even with today's closures, we can still report that we are currently have recorded a total of just under 800,000 vaccinations. They split between 664,548 first doses and 126,833 second shots. If you have been scheduled for a vaccination, again, please check in with your provider. And again, our vaccination call center remains open today and can be reached at 855-568-0545, 855-568-0545. In our hospitals, 2,865 of our fellow residents are being treated, 531 of whom are in the intensive care unit, 355 of whom require a ventilator. All of those numbers are down and have continued to trend down. Please God, they continue to do that. And even with the storm bearing down throughout the day yesterday, 281 COVID positive patients entered our hospitals and 286 live patients were discharged. Many, if not most, students have a day off today because of the storm, but I do want to note that over the past week, we continue to see the trend moving as we had expected, away from all remote instruction and towards some form of in-person instruction, whether it be schools moving to a hybrid model or returning to all in-person instruction. So today, the latest numbers, we've got 89 districts are in all in person, 470 are hybrid. Those are both up significantly since last week. 213 remain all remote, and that's down by 57 schools or districts since last Monday. So one more time, folks, we expect this storm to have much more snow in store, and conditions today may well be very dangerous. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Please stay in and stay off the roads. Let our road crews, our power crews, our first responders have the roads to themselves. We want everyone to stay safe and warm. Storm updates as well as preparedness information are all available online at ready.nj.gov. That's ready.nj.gov, at the Office of Emergency Management's Facebook page, and on Twitter at ReadyNJ. Information from a variety of official channels is also being retweeted on the State of New Jersey Twitter account at NJ.gov. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti.
Good morning. I think the Governor captured the message perfectly. I want to thank all New Jerseyans who have been cooperating with us and staying home since yesterday and into today for their help. It is with their cooperation that we are able to make sure that we stay ahead of the storm, that our crews can safely maintain their plow teams, which is that staggered set of trucks that you see, not only to clear just the roads, but ramps, service plazas, everything that we have working for us. So big thanks. As the Governor said, we have 3,900 pieces of equipment working. This is an all-hands-on-deck storm, which means it is all of our DOT crews, Turnpike crews, Parkway crews, Atlantic City Expressway crews, and a big shout out to all of our contractors who have come in both to plow and salt the roads. It is important that you maintain a distance from them. They are driving extraordinarily large vehicles. They are trying to stay in a plow team to get the roads as clear as possible. And so your cooperation, again, is key. I do have to mention on my way up this morning from 29 to 195 to the Turnpike, conditions were good. I want to just mention that when there is traffic on the Turnpike using what are known as our Z-turns, many of you know what they are. They're the brake and guardrail between the inner and outer roadways, is most illegal. It's illegal at any time, but is extraordinarily dangerous. I understand you have someplace to go, but as the Governor said, if you have to be out, take extra time. You know, this is not going to be your standard trip. The worst of the storm is ahead of us. This is the beginning of the height of the snow. So food stores, all of that, if you didn't, make do with what you have. It's only till Wednesday. Tuesday, tomorrow is going to be a bad day as well. So I can only ask if you can please. I know we've asked you to stay home for months now. This is a different reason. You can go out in the backyard and build a snowman, that's fine. Just don't go out in your car. It is just dangerous. Somebody put on my remarks, conditions aren't ideal. No, conditions are dangerous. And that is not an exaggeration after driving up here. We have been working 24 hours. On this storm, our crews were in early yesterday. We have 65 pre-positioned towing assets throughout the state to make sure we can quickly address disabled vehicle, jackknife tractor trailers that are permitted to be moving through the state. We'll move the ones that aren't, but that's a different story. To keep people being able to get what they are. Remember, we still have frontline workers that must get to a location. And without the ability to use transit, they are likely to be in their cars. So we really, if they couldn't have sheltered where they were. So we just ask again, leave those roads open for our crews to do their job, for our partners at New Jersey State Police to make sure that people are obeying the posted speed limit, another important point. I think myself saw about 3 single vehicle accidents, which are just spin outs from speed on the way up. It's dangerous. Nobody wants anybody to get hurt. We have a pretty typical saying at the DOT, and it is everybody goes home every night. And that is just keenly important to me. Our Safety Service Patrol is still out there. They are patrolling the roads for anyone who may incur a flat tire, may run out of gas. We partner again with New Jersey State Police to provide them the kind of protection they need as they're dealing with incidents on the roadway. It is just, it can't be emphasized enough. The governor went through so much of it. That the most important thing you can do for the people of the New Jersey DOT, the New Jersey Turnpike, South Jersey Transportation Authority, New Jersey Transit, and others is to stay home. It's just not, not a day to go out to run an errand. I do also want to mention that for those who are curious, because the question was asked of me last night, we are following COVID protocols in our plowing operations. That means, for the most part, our drivers drive by themselves. When they don't drive by themselves, they follow proper social distancing. They wear masks in their trucks. Even for those who are sheltering in place, they are not side by side. We are spreading them out. But I will tell you, this is the first true test for that for us in terms of being able to keep our workers safe. And we are doing everything we can. I have to shout out to the DOT facilities crew and our human resources group who are constantly managing our COVID response, as I know they are at the Turnpike and South Jersey Transportation and Transit as well. Governor mentioned today transit is shut down except for the Atlantic City rail line. I would suggest you, given what we have in front of us in terms of the highest amounts of snow, you do go to the transit website to see what tomorrow looks like. Ready.NJ.gov, we'll all say it. It's a great place to go for information on planning to go out if you have to go out, or getting the latest updates on the storm. The most important thing today is that you all be safe, and that includes the press in front of us. It is slippery. We are trying to keep up with this storm. It is coming down quickly. The best you can do for us is give us the room we need to make sure that on Wednesday morning you can go out and about and get all the things done that you need to do safely on black, dry roads. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Great job. Diane, thank you. State offices are closed, by the way, today, so everyone is working remote. We'll make a decision about what tomorrow looks like sometime this afternoon. Diane, part of the reason I think that was animating your plea, if not orders for people to stay home, and mine as well, I think we both agree, coming up here in my case, from Middletown, we're in Woodbridge right now, too many cars on the road, period. There are just too many people out there. You got to get off the roads, folks. With that, please help me welcome the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan.
Thanks, Gov. Morning, everybody. I'll echo the remarks by both Governor and Commissioner. We activated our State Emergency Operations Center last night at 6 p.m. We had calls with our federal, state, county, and local partners throughout the weekend with the National Weather Service, who, from our perspective, did a phenomenal job in predicting this one with regards to the predicted amounts. We do have also New Jersey Task Force 1 on standby to assist with snowmobiles and anything high water vehicles as well. The incline readiness package that we always talk about on 280 and 78 Jugtown Mountain, that was in place. I was thrilled to see heavy duty wreckers and tow trucks staged along our route down 78 and down 287 on our way here this morning. There's also that tow edict in place for those cars that spin out, and sometimes motorists abandon them, they will be towed immediately. You can imagine what a car on the shoulder or in the middle of a lane does to the snow plow operations. That's why it's key that you do not go out if you do not need to be out. I also, from my perspective, saw way too much commercial traffic on my way here. We had jackknife tractor trailer after jackknife tractor trailer. And that's why those travel restrictions are put in place, because it's impossible to do snow removal operations when a tractor trailer is sideways or upside down across our interstates. I know the one that happened on Route 80 at exit 12 up in Hope, that driver was issued a summons for not only careless driving, but for also impeding the flow of traffic. I know the governor mentioned ready.nj.gov. Phenomenal place for information as far as what you need to do to prepare. And I know Joe will talk about outages. They're not high right now, but we do expect those power outages to go up. And just that word of caution again with regarding using candles and generators. It would be a tragedy to see anybody use a generator in a not well ventilated area. They cannot be used inside, and I just use this opportunity to remind folks of that with regard to safety. And as far as warming centers go, 211 is a place to go, or to go to nj211.org if you do lose power and you do lose heat. And I will just close with, I know that tomorrow is Groundhog Day. I'm not sure the groundhog's going to have much of a chance of seeing his shadow, but certainly hoping for an early spring. Thanks, guys.
Channeling Bill Murray there. Thank you, Pat. That's a good point. I think there'll be a little trouble based on what we think the weather will be like tomorrow. Thank you for everything, Pat, as always. Please help me welcome the President of the Board of Public Utilities, Joe Fiordaliso. Joe?
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. And I just want to mention before I go into my remarks, I came down from Essex County, and going south on the Parkway, there were a few vehicles on the road. There were more coming north, believe it or not. And we saw at least a half a dozen spin-outs of cars. So it's not fun out there. It's something that one has to be extremely careful. As the Colonel and the Governor mentioned, outages are a major component, or could be a major component. We're hoping that the wind is cooperative with us today with a heavy snowfall. If you combine that with wind, it's a problem. And there will be outages. I don't want to give any false hope to anyone. However, in speaking with the utilities, they feel if the wind stays below 40 miles an hour, they will be able to get to those outages a lot quicker. So there was a report, Governor, this morning about JCP&L having a whole block of residents, customers out, about 1,400. They have already been restored. So that is excellent. That's the latest that I have, which tells us we have approximately anywhere between 350 and 400 outages right now. That's normally a blue sky day. But let's not dwell on false hopes here. Let's look at the reality so that we can deal effectively with that reality. While you still have power, I encourage you to charge all your devices. All of them, your telephone, your computers, and whatever other devices need to be charged. Stay away from down wires, as the Governor mentioned. They're down, assume they are alive, which means if you touch them, you're risking your life. We are in constant contact with the utilities. The utilities are working. They have crews in from out of state. And it becomes a problem when it's a regional storm, because many times we can borrow crews from nearby states. But with a storm like this that's really covering our region, they have to come from states that are not quite adjacent to New Jersey. But I assure you there are out-of-state crews already in the state of New Jersey. And again, let's hope that wind cooperates with us so that the utilities, if there are major outages, that utilities can get out there and fix them promptly. That's basically what I have to report, and again, one thing we repeat all the time, if your power goes out, call your utility. Just ensure the fact that they know you're out. And if you're out, probably your neighborhood is out. So there's a whole cluster of people there that can be restored quickly. So stay safe, take care of yourself, and take care of one another. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Joe. And again, we've said this in other storms earlier, that we're not as severe. When we bring the out-of-state crews in, we've also got the COVID protocols that have to be observed and testing and all that goes with that. So just yet made a little bit more complex, as it is, I know, in your trucks and spreaders and whatnot, Diane. Thank you, Joe. With that, Director of the Department of Homeland Security and Preparedness, Jared Maples, with any update on critical infrastructure, cyber matters, et cetera. Come on down.
Good morning. Thank you, Governor. If the last year has taught us anything, it's that we have to be prepared for all manner of hazards and issues that have popped up, and we remain dedicated to being prepared for everything from the pandemic to the potential domestic extremism that we're seeing across the United States. And into cyber incidents at large. It's something we are dedicated to doing every single day. To that end, our critical infrastructure partners and our office and our state partners have been in constant contact. There are no issues reported from that sector at this time. It's important to note that we have our private sector portal operational, along with the State Emergency Operations Center activation, as we always do, for any issues that pop up from the private sector, and of course, giving them real-time and relevant information to protect their constituencies, companies, et cetera. The governor mentioned earlier in his remarks about vigilance and the importance of vigilance. I would take this time to echo his remarks across the pandemic, but also from a domestic extremist perspective. Obviously, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security issued a threat advisory. We actually helped out with that and supported that, informed a lot of that, and fully welcomed that report from coming out. But this is no time to take our eye off the ball for any issues as well. Make sure that you're practicing see something, say something. All information can be found at our website at njohsp.gov. And the final piece that I want to make sure I highlighted, as I do at these press conferences, with people working from home remotely for leisure, for work, for school, it's never more important than keeping your eye on the ball for right and proper cyber hygiene and making sure your practices online are secure, whether it be for your communities, your families, or individually. Make sure you're aware of those, and the same website is applicable for that as well. But definitely take advantage of the resources that we as a state offer. I'll finish up in saying I think that we probably should look at banning Sonny and Cher songs through the duration of the storm, given the fact that it is Groundhog Day. So I'll finish with that. Thank you all, and stay safe.
I, for one, am a Cher fan, so I'm not sure I can go along with that. Thank you, Jared, and thanks to each and everyone. Anybody got any questions? Please. We don't have a microphone here today, so I will repeat the guts of the question.
Will the 6 COVID vaccination megasites that closed today due to the storm reopen tomorrow? You mentioned appointments will be rescheduled within the week. Will this create a domino effect and delays for others who have appointments later in the week? And also, is NJ Transit expected to open service back up tomorrow?
So too early to tell as we stand here on either the mega sites or NJ Transit. I think you have to stay tuned. One of the messages, in addition to staying home, I think you heard us to say the worst is yet to come. And the sense right now, the storm doesn't leave us in the morning tomorrow, it leaves us tomorrow night. So we'll probably have updates on both of those fronts later, especially probably the mega sites. NJ Transit could afford to make a later announcement given the nature of its operation. No, the objective here is to not create a domino effect. So that is our fervent hope. I know the mega sites are all working toward particularly the second shot reliability that I know is on a lot of people's minds. Thank you. Please.
I've got another one about the mega sites. Colonel, you said on Friday that contractors were being brought in to remove snow at the 6 vaccination sites, and the sites would remain open. Why the decision to close them? Were troopers unable to escort the vaccine supplies to the sites?
Come on down. I think it's pretty, sorry, before Pat says, it's pretty clear why we're closed. With all due respect, this is the big one, so.
Thank you. It actually had less to do with the ability to remove the snow than that we didn't want people out driving in this, and that was and some were actually scheduled to be closed anyway with regard to the vaccine distribution.
I think 3 of the 6 were closed today in any event, am I right? Yeah, 3 of the 6 were scheduled to be closed. It was the 3 that were, the other 3 that we had. And by the way, Pat makes the right point. We can't have, regardless of what the site itself may look like, you got people coming in some cases from far away in the state to get to those sites. I think we're going to have to call some audibles, folks, as the day goes on as it relates to tomorrow, whether it's state offices, mega sites, NJ Transit. I again would plead with everybody, please stay home. Unless you absolutely have to go out, please stay home. Get off the roads. That'll keep you safe. It also won't jeopardize the clearing, the massive clearing process that's going on as we speak, and will continue at least through tomorrow night, and I suspect a lot of cleanup in the days that follow. Thank you all. Stay safe, everybody. God bless. We'll be back in touch with you as soon as we know anything.